In last two lectures, I have discussed big O notations. In this lecture, I will discuss various other notations to find the growth of functions. For example, theta, omega, and small o notations. Let us take the help of some graph to explain the big O, big omega and theta notations. And the first graph here, the function fn, the fn changes, and at some point it is in the lower positions of the functions gn. This is the gn, this is the upper limit of the functions, and this is functions for which we have to determine the growth. So here fn is equal to ogn. Big O notations define that the upper bound of a function, since cgn is the upper bound. Here in this positions, the function fn have a higher value than cgn. So we consider the point n0 where it becomes smaller. In this area it has a smaller value. So for this is valid only for n when n is greater than or equal to n0. Similarly, in big O notations, it is the lower limit of the functions. As you see in the graph, that cgn lies lower to the fn functions. Here also there is some ups and downs, maxima and minima of the functions, but after n0 it becomes stable. So fn in this case, after when n is greater than n0, the function fn is have value greater than cgn. Hence cgn is the lower bound of the functions when n is greater than n0. Hence in this case we say that fn is equal to omega gn. We have to define a functions such that it is a lower bound of fn for certain value of n0, certain value of n. Then we can say that fn is equal to omega gn. In the third graph, it represent the theta notation. Theta notations means average case. Average case means there may be the upper limit and lower limit. The functions fn may be in between the two functions. Then we say that fn is equal to theta gn. Hence big O notation is used for upper bound, and it is for worst case. It is in the case of second, it is best case, and this is average case. So in this next slide we will discuss what is best case, what is average case, and what is worst case. Let us differentiate between big omega and small omega using an example. Let the function fx equal to 8x cube plus 5x square plus 7. Here gx, that is lower bound, may be gx equal to x cube. Since this is easy to see, because fx is equal to 8x cube plus 5x square plus 7, it may be greater than equal to 8x cube for all positive real value of x. Hence fx equal to 8x cube plus 5x square plus 7 has lower bound 8x cube. Hence the function is omega x cube. Now 8x cube plus 5x square plus 7, it has a number of lower bound. That may be either 8x cube or 5x square or x square or x. Now maximum of this, if we consider x cube, then it may be greater than or equal to, but when you consider x square, it cannot be equal to. It does not hold equality sign. Here it hold equality sign. but here it does not hold equality sign. In this case, hence there is a number of lower bound of the functions, which means which does not hold the equality sign. Hence we can say that the functions, now the difference between omega, big omega and small omega is, in big omega there is a equality sign holds, but in small omega no equality sign hold. So we can say that the function fx is the order of omega, small omega x square. Now why small omega x square? You can also take x, the value of x, since x square is the maximum of the lower bounds, which does not hold the equality. Here we does not take x cube, since it holds equality signs, and we cannot take x, since it is not the maximum value. In this way, omega, small omega x square is defined that when the functions fx should be greater than the value. Let us take an example that where we use big omega and where we use big O notation. We take a simple example of insertion sort. In insertion sort, what is happened that each element is inserted to a sorted list to a proper positions. Let us take the best case. Best case means the elements are mostly in order. For example, let us take 8 element which is in order. If we have to arrange the elements in order, in ascending order, we see that the elements had already arranged. That means it is a best case. But still computers cannot recognize it as a sorted element. When it comes under loop, then loop will check the elements is sorted or not. How it check? Here, what is happened? What is the advantage of the loop? That according to insertion sort, in insertion sort, what is happened? If any element comes to the sorted list, it is compared to the previous element in the list. For example, 3. Let us take an example 3. 1 and 2 already exist in the list. When 3 comes, it will compare with the element that are in the previously listed. That is, it is compared with the element 2. When it finds that 3 is already greater or 2 is already smaller than 3, so there is no shifting operations. Hence, each case there is no shifting operations, since all the elements are in proper positions. But we have to pick each element. If we had to insert 2, then we have to compare with 1. If we pick 3, then we have to compare with 2. So each element has to be picked. For picking the elements and comparing at least once, it requires 8 units of time in this case. Hence the control will only check whether the elements are in proper positions or not. Hence it requires 8 iterations, because as I say earlier that each element have to compare with the previous elements in the list once. So if 1 is compared with once, 2, 3, 4, there will be 8 iterations. In general, if there is an n element, then it takes n iteration. In this way, the best case running time of insertion sort is omega n. When we use the best case, to represent best case, we use omega notation, which implies that running time of insertion sort in the best case is omega n. Now we will see where we use big O notation. In worst case means the elements are not arranged or arranged in a manner such that it take much time. For example, this is the input elements and we have to arrange them in ascending order. It is the worst case if it is taken as a descending order, and if we have to arrange it in ascending order. So for example, the 8, this is not the proper position of 8. 8 will shift it to 1, so 8 will be shifted to 8th place. Similarly, 7 is shifted to its 7th place, and so on. To insert 8, it is shifted to 8 positions, 7 is shifted to 7 positions, 6 is shifted to 6 positions. So there will be a shifting operations in this case. Hence, to insert each element to its proper position, it requires at most 8 iterations. That means, if we consider that here we considered 8 is shifted to 8 positions, we consider at most 7 is also 8. 7 is also shifted to 8 positions, or 6 is shifted to 8 positions, etc. That is, we are considering that at most 8 iterations for each shifting operations. Then total number of iterations at most is 8 into 8, that is equal to 64. Since for each element there is 8 shifting operations, there is total number of element is 8, so there will be 8 into 8, it is equal to 64 shifting operation, 64 iteration. In general, if there are n element, then it require n square iteration. Hence, the worst case running time of insertion sort is O(n) square. For worst case, we used big O notations. Hence, the running time of the insertion sort therefore belongs to omega n and O(n) square. In between these two functions, the running times lies, and in this way we can define another notations, that is known as theta notations. For theta notations, that means that lies between big O, big ohm and big O notations. Here there is big theta notations. As we say earlier, that there is two bounds, that is lower bound and upper bound. In the last case, it is n and upper bound is n square. Hence, theta lies in between n and n square. Theta either may be shifted to n, or theta may be shifted to n square. It depends on the functions. It depends on the functions and the algorithms. The definition of theta is, let f and g be two functions, the set of integers or the set of real numbers to the set of real numbers. Then we say that fn is gn if fn is ogn. So as I say earlier, that here there is lower bound and upper bound. If fn tends to this lower bound, then it is again ogn, or it may tends to upper bound, then again it is ogn. So theta has no, if we calculate upper bound or lower bound, then it is theta can be calculated. Either it shifted to lower bound or it tends to upper bound. When Fn is Gn, we say that F is peak theta of Gn, that is theta Gn. We take example of the insertion sort again. In insertion sort, there are at most n comparison and shifting operations for each element when the input data are in worst case. In average case, let each element require at most n by 2 comparison. With in average case, in best case there is no operations, and in best case there is n comparisons. So we take the average case, that is n by 2. That means that each element require n by 2 comparison and shifting operation. Then there will be, if there is n element, then each element require n by 2 comparison. Hence a total of n square by 2 operations or iterations is needed. Therefore, now we can say that the n square, that the value n square by 2 lies between n and n squares. Hence n square by 2, we can find the theta notations in this way. Hence Fn is Gn, where Gn is n square by 2, n square, sorry, where Gn is n square. Since it is far greater than n square, so n far greater than n square by 2 is far greater than n, hence it tends to n square. So Gn is equal to n square. Hence Fn is theta n square. So average case of the insertion sort is, we represent as theta n square. In case of insertion sort, average case theta and base case O has the same value as you see in the problem. In the case of merge sort, if you in some algorithm, all the notations, all the bounds, that is upper bound or lower bound, and the average case have same, that is theta value O and omega is same. Now small o notations. Now big O notation and small o notation. Big O notations means the definitions of O, big O notations and small o notations are similar. The main difference is that in Fn is equal to OGN, the bound is 0 is greater than equal to Fn is less than equal to CGN holds for some constant C is greater than 0. But in Fn is equal to OGN, when we define small o notations, the bound will be 0 is greater than equal to Fn and less than CGN. Here less than equal to, but here is only less than. Less than holds for the small o notations, not less than equal to. Then we can say that it is in small o notations. If we take calculus, then Fn divided by Gn, when n tends to infinity, it is equal to 0. Since here we can take an example here. For example, 2n is equal to O(n) square. Since 2n cannot be less than equal to n square. So 2n, if we say a function Fn is equal to 2n, then it is O(n) square. But 2n square not is equal to O(n) square. Now here if we take the limit value, here Fn value is n and Gn value is n square. So n divided by n square, that is 1 by n. When n tends to infinity, then it becomes 0. In this way we can find the small o notation. An analogy for the less than equal to notations and with other asymptotic notations is here in the table. For example, Fn is equal to OGN is like A is less than equal to B. For Fn is equal to big O ohm, Gn is like A is greater than equal to B. Fn is equal to theta Gn is like A is equal to B. Fn is equal to small o Gn is like less than A is less than B. Fn is equal to omega Gn is like A is greater than B. Thank you.